Happy Monday. This is June 1st, episode 39 of Slice of Life, the show with the Brooklyn Cyclones, where we try to do our absolute best to give you as much good news as humanly possible. They put us in quarantine. They told us to stay inside, make this thing all the more better, and hopefully we are doing that. But obviously right now, we'd love to bring you guys laughs and smiles and happiness and fresh flowers. But there's a bit of an elephant in the room right now, and we'd love to kind of tackle that in place of our favorite social slice, because right now, Bill, social media is a tense place.
Yeah, it just didn't seem right to sort of throw up some funny video we saw or make light of certain things that are, I guess, going on in the world. So, you wouldn't have thought it would be possible for a global pandemic to sort of get pushed off the front pages. But obviously the events here in the last week, and particularly this weekend, have sort of caused us to reevaluate our priorities, I guess, as a nation in terms of what's we're most important to us and what we're valuing at this point. So we've all seen the stories of the peaceful protests and some not so peaceful uprisings as well. But with everything going on with in our country following the murder, I guess, of George Floyd, I'm by no means an expert on our justice system or policing, but I'm extremely confident that I have the ability to distinguish between what's right and what's wrong. And what happened to George Floyd is just unequivocally wrong. And it's something that's becoming all too common here in our country, and things need to change. Now, I don't necessarily agree with breaking into the College Football Hall of Fame and lighting a target on fire and whatever else. I don't necessarily think that's the best way about going to do it. But I'm also aware that, there's 1,000 different ways that 1,000 different people respond to things. So that's not the way that I would go about pushing for change and for social justice. But I'm also not in a position where I can tell people how to grieve and how to be upset. So yesterday I read an article, an op-ed piece in the LA Times that was written by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was obviously a legend on the basketball court, but he's also a very unique and very thoughtful man, and has gone through a lot throughout his life, racial and religious freedoms and all sorts of things. So I wanted to read sort of a section from it that I found to be extremely poignant. This is again from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in yesterday's Los Angeles Times. Racism in America is like dust in the air. It seems invisible, even if you're choking on it, until you let the sun in. Then you see that it's everywhere. As long as we keep shining that light, we have a chance of cleaning it wherever it lands. But we have to stay vigilant because it's always still in the air. It was just a very, I thought, impactful visualization as to sort of what we're dealing with as a society at this point, and for decades what we've been sort of dealing with. And I'm a middle class guy who is currently speaking to you from my backyard in the suburbs on Long Island. So I've never, thankfully, gone for a jog and been afraid of someone in a pickup truck driving by and may chase me down. And I've never had to purchase a bag of Skittles and get followed because someone thought I was looking suspicious. So I realized that I'm coming from a very different place. But in the same vein, I also think we're coming from the same place where we all know what is right and what is wrong. And there are too many things that are going on that are just wrong. And as a parent, as a man, as a son, I don't want anybody that I care about, know about, am involved with to ever live in fear of doing, just normal things. And that's what happened to George Floyd. And, to the countless people who have died in similar fashions, it's just wrong. And we as a society need to figure out what we can do to just make this right, because there's too many good people in this world to let the bad ones continue to make it difficult for the rest of us.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a common sense issue, and literally every single person is tired of these crimes and seeing them and having to watch them, and every color, every good police officer, every good person on earth is tired of seeing this because they are crimes. The vast majority of people on the planet are tired of the violence, the police brutality, having to protest the same thing over and over again. It's sad to constantly have to relive these moments because there's no winners here, and it's frustrating because we're all doing this together. Like, we're all as a society taking a step forward. We're all trying to fix injustice and inequality. You can't just sit on the sidelines as it happens. So when you see what happens, and it's sad to take 5 steps back as a society, and because of the actions of some bad people. So personally, I always believe, and I think that's the most important way, is that we make changes by living the right way, moments in time where we actually show what we mean. The old adage, actions speak louder than words. People can say what they want on social media and this and that, but you have to be able to live it. And to be honest, I know that we talked about our upbringing as well. Living in New York is amazing. I mean, I went to school growing up with every shape and color and size and shade, whatever it may be, and a lot of people didn't do that, and a lot of people don't know what other people are all about. And New York is a good place for us to do that. We're the melting pot for a reason. And I have my little 26 subway stop from Manhattan down to Coney Island when we are back at work, and I pass through every neighborhood possible. I do the Q train tour every day there and back, and some people get on the train in one neighborhood, they get off in another neighborhood, and not everybody looks the same, and not everybody smells the same, not everybody is shaped the same, and that's the best place to be, is when everyone's working together and living together and laughing together peacefully. So it's disheartening to take a step back as a whole society, because there really are good people trying to do what they can to constantly live every single day as put their best foot forward and act the right way. And we're all trying to make the world a better place. We all have to live that. We can't just say it. We have to live it as well. So with that, we do have some heroes. There are heroes out there. So chicken parm heroes, Billy. What'd you see?
Yeah, so I saw this story over the weekend, and it's another one of these stories that we've talked about countless times on the show, where it seems like it's fake and it should be in a movie and not actually real life. But Deidre Taylor is a nurse from Virginia who has been working in New York during the pandemic. But she's not completely new to the area. She was born in New York and lived here early in her days. When she was about 4 years old, she was rescued from a burning Manhattan building, along with her mother, by a firefighter named Peter Puglisi. She has spent years trying to track this man down, and was not successful doing it at any point. It was on the cover of the Daily News, and she carried around that photo of her being carried out of a building by this firefighter, and was unable to ever track him down. She got to the point where she was almost convinced that maybe this man was one of the 343 firefighters who were killed on 9/11. So she thought she would never get a chance to say thank you to this man until now. So she's working in NYU's Langone Hospital, and recently members of the FDNY came to the emergency room to drop off pizza as a thank you for the healthcare workers there. And while she was dealing with these firefighters, she had a conversation with one of them about her experience and how she was trying to track down this guy. And that firefighter made a call to the captain at Manhattan's Ladder 20, which is where Puglisi used to work. Sure enough, the captain knew Peter, had his phone number, and put them in contact immediately. So after almost 30 some odd years of trying to track this guy down, within a matter of moments over a slice of pizza, which can cure all things, as we know,
Really?
she was able to track down Peter. They were in touch. They spoke over the phone. They did a Zoom chat where he showed her that he also kept the cover of the Daily News, and thought of her frequently and wondered what had become of her. So he was happy to see that she had gone on to work in the medical field and was helping people, and she was also a member of the military. And the two of them both agreed that they can't wait for the pandemic to be over so that they can properly hug it out in person. But for the time, they just wanted to chat over Zoom and made contact, which this is just an unbelievable story of 30 years later, a 4-year-old finally getting back in touch with the man who saved her and her mother.
Yeah, the power of a hug right now would be pretty good. I mean, everybody's gone a couple weeks, couple months without a solid hug. So it's an amazing story. Again, the world is very small. You put out a little feeler. Hopefully that your prayers are answered, and hers were. So that's amazing. Same story kind of thing as far as prayers answered for my chicken farm hero, a guy by the name of Lisbon Black. You've heard, if you've been living in New York, about Andrew Cuomo cleaning the subways, and some of the issues that they've had have been, a lot of the homeless people are on the subways all the time, riding the trains, there and back, and they just have no other place to go. And where are they getting healthcare? Are they getting help during this crisis right now? So Lisbon Black was a homeless person, and he's now working for the Alliance for Positive Change, which is a nonprofit that helped him get back on his feet. And so they work with HIV/AIDS clients, patients, whatever they want to call them, as far as who the nonprofit actually deals with. And he was someone on the other end of getting some help from this group. And so now that COVID's happened and there are fewer volunteer opportunities, a lot of people don't want to go out and contract this. He's stepped up and said, I'm going, let me go out and do some of these things, because they helped me when I was homeless, and I want to pay it forward. So he's been handing out food, giving out masks, gift cards to clients of this nonprofit. So you love that story, because homeless people are, they don't have any place to go. And especially during this, who's going to help when everyone wants to stay inside, and it takes someone who used to be homeless to kind of pay it forward. So it's certainly a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. It's great to see people, when they are able to get themselves back on their feet, sort of pay it forward and help back those that are in a similar situation, because it gives them hope as well, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can recover from this, and there are better days ahead. So, great job by Lisbon.
Sports, as I like to say, they do exist. It's June. Hopefully June brings some better news for the sports world. And Billy, if you're a cat person, I don't know if you're a cat person, but I'm talking to the audience here. If you're a cat person who was left out when Air Bud was sweeping the pro dog movement of the 90s, which I can get behind. I'm not a cat person, but after watching this video, it might have changed my mind. This is Chris Dixon and his cat, and this cat may put Air Bud to shame a little bit.
Observe.
Real dynamism, wonderful chance.
What a save!
And he slaps Messi's header over the bar.
And then a great save! And Nolitano, a wonderful save by Schmeichel.
That cross.
There's the cross. There's a brilliant save. That is world class. All the way through. Oh, what a save! Nuamba. Oh, magnificent save by Van der Sar. And a great save by Jennings.
That is quite the most remarkable piece of goalkeeping I have ever seen.
Surely some VAR. He's made the save on the halfway line.
So what gets me here is that it's not some cutesy-dootsy cat video, Bill. I know cat videos sweep the nation no matter where they are. This is 50 seconds of save after save after save. And as a pro dog person, I can give this cat a little bit of respect. The ball is super tiny, but it's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. I gotta respect the player, and I gotta respect the cat after this performance in the basement. But this is insane.
Yeah, I'm more of a dog guy myself, and I don't like to give cats much credit, but well done. For my sports story, I'm going to take a little bit of a leap, I guess, in terms of sports and what they are. But we've talked frequently about Captain Tom Moore, whose fundraising efforts during his walkathon in the UK has raised millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he's been all over the news. But his story and his dedication has sort of inspired others to try similar things. And one such person is Tobias Weller, who was a 9-year-old boy, also in the United Kingdom, with cerebral palsy, who completed his challenge of a 26.2 mile marathon over the course of 70 days. At the start, he was only able to walk about half the length of a football field before he'd need to stop. And by the time it was done, he was able to walk half a mile a day. So just an unbelievable story of this kid's dedication and making the best of a bad situation, I guess. And he also raised over $100,000 while doing it for Sheffield's Children's Hospital in the UK, which is a hospital that this young boy has attended throughout his life as well. So just great to see the inspiration of this 100-year-old man who has sort of inspired a nation and inspired the world, to be honest. Inspiring a 9-year-old boy to get out, and he was using his walker for it, but he completed it 26.2 miles with the help of his walker. But just an unbelievable sight, an unbelievable story, and just unbelievable dedication from a young man.
Yeah, it's a poetic way to say the tie in the end of the show that no matter what, just keep moving forward. So Tom Moore did these great things, and he'll live to be 400 years old, and hopefully he'll continue to inspire those who are like Tobias and the rest of us, because he certainly is. I mean, how many times have we said Captain Tom Moore's name on this show? The guy has spanned across the pond with some of the charitable works that he's done and the trickle-down role model effect that he's had. So good stuff today. Obviously, a bit of an odd day for us personally, because we do our best to try to provide the smiles, but we're doing the best that we can as far as I guess trying to provide those smiles, but certainly our minds are with the protesters right now and what everyone is feeling at this point.
Yeah, and I think just sort of my final Springer moment here, I guess, for the last sort of close up is just, our show has shown the power that one person can have and what one person can do and how it can change lives and change everything. And we've tried to showcase those heroes, and we've told the stories of people like Tom Moore and throughout the show, countless people. So I think that's just something to keep in mind as we're all sort of going through this, whether it's, battling COVID or dealing with racism or just trying to make the world a better place. One person has that power to do it. So that's sort of why we started the show. And I think that's sort of the takeaway from all of this is, you may think that you're not big enough to be able to take on something as big as racism and injustice. But one person can change one person's life, can change another person's life from there. So we all have that ability to sort of, flap your butterfly wings and change things across the world.
Well said, Bill. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.